Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Travis. Just wanted to go through four new forms that we have from C.A.R, all pertaining to COVID-19. So I was just going to do a run through on each one of them and kind of go over them briefly and how they should be used. We will be adding all these into the transaction coordination system. So we are going to be wanting to use these for the foreseeable future. So please implement these into your business. The four forms I got added is the RLA-CAA, the PEAD, the NUCC, and the CVA, which we had previously. First, we'll start off with the RLA-CAA, which is an addendum to the listing agreement. So you can add this into an already existing listing agreement, or if you're taking a new listing, definitely get this one signed as well. This talks a little bit about COVID and that it's, causing restrictions and stress on the industry. Number one, basically it says the seller agrees or does not agree to allow the prospective purchaser to enter the property as specified below. So you'll know that in the listing agreement, it does state that, we have the home open for, viewing and so on and so forth, unless otherwise stated. So this is an amendment stating that if the seller is not comfortable with people entering into the home, then we need to check this box right here. If they are agreeing to allow people into the home to view, to do inspections, so on and so forth, they can condition the viewing upon some of these other things. B, saying that if they provide verification that they're financially able to purchase the property, if they represent that they have previously viewed the property online. So these would be some additional requests from the sellers in order to view the property. The main one is that they're agreeing to the PEAD, which we'll go over next. And then there's going to be some pre-sale and post-acceptance activity. You're just going to check the boxes of everything that pertains. If you're presenting them a marketing plan and it needs to be adjusted, you would add your modifications in this section here to your marketing plan. If they are going to be temporarily withdrawing the property but leaving the listing active, then you're going to check this box here. If the termination date of the listing agreement shall be extended by the same time amount as the temporary withdrawal is in effect, then you will check B, and not to extend upon or beyond a certain date right here. So these are boxes that you and the seller can agree upon. 5, I do like 5. Basically it says seller understands and agrees that the broker will abide by the terms of this addendum or amendment and use broker's best efforts to obtain compliance by others. Broker cannot and will not verify the representations of others nor guarantee their compliance with seller and broker's instructions. Broker cannot and will not physically prevent entrance to the property by others who do not agree to the instructions. So we're stating that we're going to do our best here, but you'll see further on, there's basically a release of liability. It says if broker becomes aware of such person's failure to comply with instructions, broker will promptly inform seller and take efforts to prevent such person's future access to the property. Seller agrees to and shall hold broker and its agents harmless from any and all claims, liabilities, obligations, attorney's fees, or actions, and shall indemnify broker for any damages, costs, attorney's fees, and or other fines from any third party that arise from or related in any manner to this addendum or amendment. So this is probably my favorite part of this. So I would definitely add this in to all of your listing agreements that you have active currently. If you have any coming up, add this into your stack of documents. So obviously, if you have any additional terms, you would stick them in here. I don't see why your seller would not want to sign this, simply just because of section 1 here. So get these signed and just incorporate them into your listing package for the foreseeable future. I mean, even after the shelter in place is lifted, we're still going to be dealing with this. There's still going to be sellers out there that have apprehensions about listing their home because the virus will still be in the air, so on and so forth. So add this one in. So next up, we will check out the PEAD. So I had sent one out previously for property access. This is C.A.R's version. I guess you can use either one, but I would prefer actually if you use the C.A.R version, and the C.A.R version will probably be easier to get signed because it has a C.A.R stamp on it. So this is talking about the risks of exposure, that there are stay-at-home orders in place, that real estate activities are deemed as essential services. And then it says, by signing below, you make the following representations and agree as follows. You are either seller, landlord, tenant, or occupant, voluntarily allowing access to someone to enter the property for viewing, walkthrough inspections, or otherwise facilitating the real estate transaction, or a prospective actual buyer, tenant, so on and so forth. B, you understand the showing and visiting properties may be dangerous. C, if applicable, you understand that your showing or visiting activities are part of an exception to federal and state safer at home or shelter in place orders, and that you are conducting those activities at your own risk. You understand that if you engage in any activities in violation of the law, including federal, state, county, or city orders, that you are acting against the advice of a broker. You agree to take reasonable and necessary precautions to protect yourself and others from the spread of COVID, including but not limited to, and then it lists these items here. You can read through those on your own. I'm not going to go through each one of them. Agreement, declaration, and assumption of risk. By signing below, you are declaring the foregoing is true, that you agree to take all recommended and reasonable actions to protect yourself and others from exposure, so on and so forth. You sign it, and that's that. So this is to be used for showings. This is to be used if you're the listing agent and you have the C.A.A. addendum to the residential listing agreement in place, then this needs to also go along with it with the showings. Basically, anytime access to the property is gained, it could be an appraiser, could be home inspector, whatever it is, you would want to also have this in place. So that is the PEAD. Start using this one as well. I think it's a very good thing that C.A.R has put these out for us to use during this pandemic period. Next one we'll go over is coronavirus addendum. This one came out a little bit ago. They made some modifications to it. Basically, they're adding in this NUCC form now. But again, coronavirus addendum. When you're writing an offer, I would add this in just as the other forms are added in when you're writing in the offer, such as like the the wire fraud and stuff. Just make this part of your purchase agreement. The seller does not need to agree to this if you're writing an offer, but I think it is wise to try and get this incorporated with each and every offer that you're writing because things are changing by the hour, by the day, and we just don't know how things are going to be, 3 weeks from now, or a month from now, or a month and a half, or anything. So it's good to have this in place up front. If you have an existing transaction where you don't have this in place, and you're sending out disclosures or anything like that, Maybe try and get this put in if you think the lending is going to be a little shady or shaky or anything. Try and get this incorporated in. Basically, this is saying that there's bigger things than us out there, and that due to unforeseen circumstances, something may come up where the buyer may not be able to perform, which could be job loss due to COVID. It could be, the terms of their loan got changed, something like that, that they had, no way of foreseeing or preventing. So number 2, you'll see this form is intended to contractually address an unforeseen coronavirus circumstance. This is kind of setting the tone for transactions during this period. Says the parties' agreement to this form is optional. It is not binding on either party unless signed by both. Its purpose is to reflect the parties' mutual obligation to deal fairly with each other and act in good faith to accomplish the purpose of the agreement. So I think number 2 is something to touch on when you're having this signed as to why it's important to put this in place, that we're all doing our best here. And, I think it does help set the tone of, the next 20 to 30 days or 40 days of the transaction. Number 3, if either buyer or seller is affected by an unforeseen coronavirus circumstance, the affected party shall deliver to the other a notice of unforeseen coronavirus circumstance, which is the NUCC, which we'll go over next, which both identifies and provides verification of the unforeseen coronavirus circumstance applicable to the affected party, so on and so forth. I mean, you can read the rest on your own. You can use this for extensions of times, mutual cancellations, so on and so forth. But if you already have this in place and something happens, you can just use the new form that they sent out, which is Notice of Unforeseen Coronavirus Circumstances, the NUCC. So this is what you would use in conjunction if you have the CVA in place. This is only to use if you have the CVA in place, as it says up here, in accordance with the terms and conditions of the coronavirus addendum or amendment. So basically this is referring to the CVA. So if you don't have the CVA in place, then you cannot use this to cancel a deal or extend time. But this is talking about who is the affected party. You check the box. The unforeseen coronavirus circumstance that is applicable to the affected party is going to be checked in these boxes down here. If it's an other, you're going to put it there. The unforeseen coronavirus circumstance has the following impact on the affected buyer. So if you want to explain what happened, such as, the borrower's loan is no longer available by, the investor that had given them the approval or the pre-approval, then you would put that in here. Verification of the unforeseen coronavirus circumstance and its impact on performance as follows. You put that down here. So that's what the 4 forms are used for. Back to the first one real quick, as it does talk about the guidelines set forth by C.A.R, which they state actually right here. So it says seller and broker agree to abide by showing protocol set forth by the PEAD and those in C.A.R best practice guidelines document found at, it gives you the link, or similar document approved by broker and provided to seller. So something that we can do here is you can go over to that link, which is here, and it spells out the guidelines. I think having the seller maybe acknowledge this, it's probably not a bad idea. I did make it into a PDF format here that I'll share with everyone. And I threw just a little acknowledgement down here. If you want to have them sign that they acknowledged it, that they read and understand the guidelines set forth by C.A.R for conducting a transaction while shelter in place is in effect. So I'll share this out as well. If you want to add this in as some additional disclosure or protection or whatever you want to call it to your listing agreement, or even if you have a buyer transaction going on and you want buyers to, look through this so they have also an understanding to the sensitivity of what's happening in our industry, I think it's not a bad idea to add this in as well. So we'll add these in to the transaction coordination system and make them part of the files. So if you have any questions, obviously call, text, or email. I'm always available. Always, not always, but keep the C.A.R site up as well, the guidelines. I would check back on this quite often because they are updating it almost daily with anything new that's coming out, and they've modified this document a few times already as well. So I'll try and keep the other form, which is a Google form, updated. So that'll be a live link that you can use. Hope everybody is staying safe, and I will talk to you later.